Hello. Everything appears to be working. Wait for a couple people to get in here. There's some stuff around. That's it. Hey, Kentucky Trapper. Hope everyone is having a good weekend or had a good weekend. Hey, G-Bound. We actually got quite a bit of snow for my part of the state. Really put a damper on this weekend's projects. I think I measured about 14 inches. And just since Friday, that's a lot of snow for here. That's also supposed to be up in the mid 40s starting Tuesday. So that can all go away. I was going to try to make a trip up to Ritzville this weekend and take a look at teams, but not worth it. Oh, in Kentucky Trapper, a way I have sent a lot of tooling before to people, and it was actually cheaper in the long run, is I shipped it in several flat rate boxes that were reinforced on the inside with OSB board, I think is what I used. I should have a price for that motor probably Wednesday. I had an idea. I had a couple suggestions on a way to ship it cheaper. And I'll email you about those to see if it's something that you wouldn't mind. Hey, John Rat's welding machine. Yeah, here it's snowing in a lot of places where it shouldn't be snowing. Hey, Killian. Yeah, didn't do too much this weekend. Again, snow and means I got more parts cleaned for the carriage for the big reed. I built over about. That's most of what I did this weekend. I messed with the surface grinder quite a bit yesterday. If any of you are familiar with those Norton surface grinders, it has that very thin belt. I haven't done much looking, but it looks pretty specialty to me as far as replacing it if it ever needs it. If not, it looks like I could flip a serpentine belt inside out and just use that. I come across a lot of 3-jaw chucks. Not a lot of 4s. Well, yeah, it's kind of not like a traditional flat belt, like on the or anything. It's really, really, really thin, about an inch wide, and it's red, if that matters. And it drives the spindle for the grinding wheel. I've been messing with the True. It is very thin. It's thinner than a car serpentine belt. I've seen a few of his videos recently where he was looking for a steady rest for Brian and a chuck for Brian. I think that's the person that I associate with that name. Nice to have a place around here that just had endless amounts of chucks and lathe parts. There's a guy in, I want to say Portland, that has a lot of stuff, but I've heard his prices are not very competitive. Not that they really need to be for what he's selling, but very true, Built Overbought. He knows he doesn't have a whole lot of competition. Oh, just lost power. That's not good. Ours was flickering earlier. Coincidentally, the other day, I was messing with that 15 horse motor, starting it with a rope and stuff, and we were having power issues, so it kind of scared me for a minute. Like, did I cause that? But no. They're doing a bunch of upgrades in the area. Yeah, ice is no fun. Do not care for the ice. I do not really care for the snow. I like things dry. That's why I live on the side of the state that I live on. So that yeah, the name of it just left me as I was talking about it. The Lodge and Shipley lathe I was talking about last weekend. I haven't heard back from the guy first call, so once the snow's gone, I'm going to go back out there. See what's up with that, because like I said, there was a guy with a Camelback drill press and a smaller press outside his shop, so I'm going to go knock on his door anyway. So while I'm over there, see if the guy's interested in selling it. And for you guys in the Washington area, I'm subscribed to Washington High Bid or something. It tells you there's auctions coming out. There's a machine shop auction online going on right now. Oh, I can't remember where. I want to say Linden, but that may not be. Selling it's a full machine shop. There's 6 or 8 CNC lathes, a bunch of mills, tons of tooling and cutting tools. But it's a little far for me, so. That Washington Hybrid site's actually been pretty handy. It updates you once or twice a week with auctions that are going on, even small ones. Cool. What kind of machines do they have there? Is your generator switched into your house panel? I've been looking for metal brakes. They just don't ever show up over here. I was thinking about making one. Besides the knives, which you can get, or in some way fashion yourself, there's really not a whole lot to them. Like I said, there's one sitting in a lot about 3 miles from here. It's been outside for the last 5-6 years. One day I will have it. And when I find out who owns the building, so I can get it from them. Hey, here's Wild. So yeah, this week will be the big week for getting the carriage hopefully all put together. I got almost all the parts clean now. It took a little bit doing. Got most of it painted. Hey, Weeder. Did you order anywhere normally here with a normal number of public sales and auctions? Yes. I literally would buy every machine cost that I can afford, no matter the condition. It's come back to bite me a time or two on some machines, mostly the earlier ones. I used to buy a lot of big old flat belt machines. They were cool and they were old and they were big, but I bought and I have sold a lot of big old flat belt lathes. ABS small engines. No, not yet. I'm having it delivered to it was free shipping if you had a forklift or a loading dock. So I talked to one of the pipe suppliers I deal with at work. We got permission from them to have it delivered there since I do a lot of business with them. So I just need to send the shipping info. And it'll be on its way. That'll be handy to have. For that phase converter here. Also, I'm going to do I have probably 40 or probably close to 35 3-phase motors. I need to go through and test them all and run them. Get rid of ones that I'm not going to rebuild and all that. I need to stop buying used motors. I say that, but I don't think that will happen. But no forklift yet. Had 2 before, and one was awful. And the other one was that electric one I had. What was it, a year ago now? They had issues. Lesson learned on buying $200 forklifts at auctions. Lesson learned. That's on this year's list. Because I'm really trying to save my back. I lift way too many things I should not be lifting. I mean, that 20 or that I lifted it onto the office chair and pushed it around. I lifted it off, and it takes some to do. I need to stop doing that stuff before I can't do that stuff anymore. That's kind of why I got the hydraulic lift cart, was to try to save my back. I got the shop gantry crane here. But it's always, the crane's way on the other side of the shop. I'll just lift it. One time that's going to come back to bite me. That's one whole thing about moving all the middle of the shop's going to be mostly open. So the cherry picker or the gantry crane back to places. The biggest thing now is there's stuff on the floor, and it's a pain to push the gantry crane back there. I actually wish maybe this crane might get a little narrower. If it was narrower by 18 inches, it'd help a lot. That might be an upcoming project. The gantry crane outside is actually going to be growing by quite a bit. Because if you have to have a gantry crane outside, you might as well have the largest gantry crane you can build outside. So, yeah, and the battery ones always show up cheap, and they're always missing the batteries and don't have the chargers. And I've done a thing where you put the batteries in a cart behind it or in it with a bunch of metal for counterweights. I want to get a propane one. Very true, build overbought. And there's a lot of forklifts at the auctions around here. The monthly one and the bigger one, there's always at least probably 10 forklifts. There's a lot of warehouse and packaging plants in the area for like Lamb Weston and stuff like that. So yeah, I will try to get one this year. Because I don't need an overly fancy one either. Like, I don't need a super high telescoping boom or really even a side shift. I know most of them have side shift on them. Yeah. If I can find a skid loader or a tractor, it's another way to go. Again, in my area, that stuff used is crazy expensive. Yeah, they're good. If I get one, of course, I'd like it to be as full featured as possible. I also like to get one that's at least 5,000 pound. Front loading some of the stuff I work on, like some push this gantry crane right here out, and then in conjunction with the other gantry crane, lift it, and then they drive out from underneath it. Look professional. Would this be easier and more controllable? And then the thing about the gantry cranes out in my driveway is drops down from the shop like this. This is the driveway, slopes down, but it also rolls quite a bit to one side. So when you have a heavy load on the gantry crane with wheels, it wants to scoot, or the trolley wants to roll. So sometimes I have to put a C-clamp on there to keep rolling. Someday would not be better off not buying more machines. Yeah. I mean, there'll come a time when there's just no more space for them. I'd like to start buying. I'm going to start buying more of the broken ones before they get trashed and strip all the usable parts out of them for people, and just break them down into parts and then get rid of what's left. Because I don't want my backyard to become a parts yard either. So there is a limit to it. Though I thought a older lathe in my front yard with squirter curb bound borders around it, I thought that'd be cool. Make one into a yard ornament. Temperature wise, it's right in the high 20s right now. We're supposed to be up in the mid 40s and low 50s next week. So it's been in the 20s most last couple days. I do want to add up to the shop, and I've actually been thinking about this backside here shares a wall. There's a one-car garage on the other side. Then my house is attached to that. So the roof lines are really complicated in this part of the shop. The back part is not. So the back half, I could actually go up a story and move a lot of like the Lawson stuff, which takes up an immense amount of room when you think about it, and move some other stuff up there. And that'd free up, I'd have 50% more shop space. That just screams you're single. Yes. 13 is cold. That's how cold it's getting at night here. I think it was like 8 the other day too. I think a small old flat belt lathe in the yard would look nice. A nice ambiance to the neighborhood. And put some rock underneath it. Paint it with a really thick coat of not something bright, but yeah, I have tomorrow off because of the holiday. No work for me, except for in the shop. I have to get, before I get the carriage on this guy, which you guys are sitting on, I need to get it moved about 8 foot because I got some commercial mowers that are outside right now. I need to get them in and do some work on the hydraulics to one and just get the other one running. If you ever get married, your wife will make you get rid of it. There's a lot more women out there than there are lathes, so I can be a little picky. What kind of generator do you got, BS Molyneux? I had that talk about your 1912 Pratt and Whitney. That Hindi I had from 19, I want to say 05 or 1910. I liked that lathe, but it had a footprint, and it was on. It was my first lathe. I was on riser blocks, and it worked fine. It just always vibrated or chattered just a little bit. I think that's because the headstock was on 2 1-inch steel flat plates with longer bolts that pinched through the deck or the ways. It always always had just a little bit of chatter on stuff. Oh, Untitled Chapter. Yes, I will email you. Yeah, I got tomorrow off. I'll have to probably go in. We might have Tuesday off. I'll be in the rest of the week. Won't be a lot to do, but so yeah, I get the lathe moved tomorrow. I got to get that carriage done. Like I said, I have all the parts, most of the parts clean. 80% of them are painted. I still have to paint the carriage itself and the cross feed, the cross slide, and the compound still need painted. But everything's all cleaned up now. That was tedious. It took forever. That's a long way to drive in poopy weather. I'm about 13-minute drive from my day job. Yeah, we get to see some videos on that this week. This week's videos are more not about the lathe. I don't want to put out, 10 videos in a row. They're just on the read. Because I've been messing around with that drill press. That cable repair video with the solder slugs, that is about as not I don't want to say it's a viral video, but yeah, 200 views in a day, and that's the most. It's already one of my top 20 videos views wise. So I don't know what it was about that video, but a lot of people wanted to look at it real quick. And it's interesting and it works. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. You guys try to find some dust collector bags for the sprayer or the sandblaster unit. Because I want to get it mobile and ready to go so I can get it out of the way. I'd really like to move all of this stuff, all the Lawson stuff. It takes up probably 25 feet of wall space. So you can't have anything on that wall. And you can't have anything, with a couple feet of the wall so you can still get to everything. So I've been taking tons and tons of measurements, maybe these things here with the small drawers in them, there's 4 per individual cabinet. I might change my workbench, the height of it a bit, so I can fit 3 of these underneath it. Then again, I don't want these sitting on the floor because this is going to be low to the ground and pain in the butt. So I would like to find a different place for all this stuff because it takes up a crazy amount of room in the shop. It used to blow into a tube that went through the wall and then 90'd off. It was a 6-inch sewer pipe tube. It just went outside. But I try to be as neighborly as I can, already doing the stuff I do here, so. I have not tried those coolant misters. I don't know if I've ever used any coolant in any of my machines. Though I will with the surface grinder. It came with I need to still go get it. The tub for the coolant, and it has like an oil thing too. Or maybe the coolant's for the lathe. I got an oil thing for it then. Yeah, there was a half of a big grizzly dust collector on Craigslist the other day. I looked at it for converting, but it was trashed. Absolutely trashed. Plasma table. Just the smoke or? Yeah, the only thing I used coolant on that I have used, and that's because it came set up with it, was the Johnson bandsaw. It had a crude fish tank pump in it. But like the second, again, I didn't use the saw for like 3 weeks, and the stuff, something caked up in the pump and ruined it. So the abrasive saw I have, that 3-phase quick cut or Everett hard saw, that's set up for coolant too, but I've never used it with it. Yeah, I'm overly cautious with the stuff I do here that might annoy the neighbors. I wasn't here first, so I'm pretty considerate. And when I'm not, I work on everyone's stuff. My neighbors know I fix stuff, so I I do some car work for them. I do some sprinkler repair for them. I've worked on their mowers and stuff. So. The thing about that is sometimes on a Saturday morning, you just want to go sit in a lawn chair in front of your shop and, watch videos or just relax, and people know where you are. They want to bring by stuff for you to fix. But I don't mind it. It's all prep for when that big diesel generator shows up. Reading your guys' cool mist stuff. I know very little about it, so I'm always interested. Again, a lot of turning I do is like I do a lot of cast iron turning, so. Or the slow speeds of my ancient lathes. Oh, yeah, what else am I doing? Oh, I think I got a phase converter, not a phase converter, a VFD lined up for the horizontal milling machine. I got a buddy who wants to do a swap for a 5-horse VFD for some taper shank drill bits. So I think that's where I'm going to go with it. I've got a couple good 5-horse 3-phase motors. Then I had another idea, and this is probably stupid, or maybe not stupid, but going overboard. I have an extra 1-horse power rated phase or VFD, and I thought about putting a separate motor because on the back of the mill there's a separate pulley for the feeds, and I thought about maybe hooking a separate motor up for the table feeds, but I may do that because the way it operates, it's all mechanical. So there's a separate pulley that powers all that. So we'll see. Most of my horizontal milling is keyways, so I don't mind going a little slow. Oh, what's the going rate for manual machining here? 120. 120 bucks an hour is what a lot of the shops around here charge. There's not many. There's 7 or 8 machine shops in the area. I'd say 5 of them won't touch walk-in stuff. They do parts runs, and that's about it. You know, when you bring something into them, they want an engineered drawing and all that kind of stuff. They don't like, oh, can you take, 25 thou off this for me real quick? They're not interested. Most shops in my area are not interested in stuff like that. And the 2 that do, they're both charging about $120 an hour. Yeah, we don't have like what you would call a good old timer machine shop here. It's all us of them do stuff for the power plant and the dams. They do a lot of stuff for the dams. I do lots of keyways because I do work for farmers, a lot of small farmers, and they're always buying pumps or motors and swapping them to different pumps. So I have a couple of farmers who I've done Some of their motors have 5 keyways on them. I don't know how much structurally is left to that, but they buy a lot of the stuff used around here. So I cut a lot of keyways on motors. And for short turbine pumps, that's why I like having it horizontal in the shop. You can do it easily on the vertical too, but I just like horizontal. I just clamp it to the ways. And it's a super easy setup. Never done any EDM stuff. That's most of the horizontal work I do is keyways or motor bases. Flip them up and shave them flat. Though you can get away with a grinder on most of that stuff. Steel mounting plates for them. Because you wedge them to align them with the pump anyway. So it's overkill for a lot of people, and I tell them that. You know, we don't need to throw this on the mill and machine it for an hour. Let's just grind some spots clean on it and shim it, and it'll work exactly the same. It'll be just as good. Like I said, I try not to spend people's money if I don't have to. So if I can think of a cheaper route for them, I will do it. So that's the kind of thing that gets you returning customers. Also, I turn a lot of pumps, a lot of pump impellers. Because again, with small farmers, they're changing their pumps. So their pump curve will their desired head pressure and all that will change depending if they're pushing it through a circle or through hand lines and all that. So I trim a lot of pump impellers. And with walk-ins like that, it's just you trim it an arbitrary amount. They don't come in with the engineer says you need to trim 115 thou off this. They're like, take 1/4 inch off, we'll hook it up and see how it does. So a lot of the field work I do is removing stuck pins. We got kind of a niche market on that where a lot of the farmers have told their buddies that I do it. So I get a lot of calls for pin removal on farm equipment. That's where a hollow cylinder really earns its keep. That's how I do it. I've had that exothermically pierce a few, but that's expensive. Goes through a ton of oxygen. Those rods they're like $6 a piece or something like that. I've only met a few pins that the hollow cylinder would not extract with the help of the cutting torch and a rosebud tip. And occasionally a sledgehammer. I'll probably do a video. The next pin removal job I have, because it's really quick to do. Well, the setup is quick to do. I'll try to film that for those who don't know what I'm talking about, how I do it, but I don't get a lot of automotive stuff come in here, except for that recurring job I do for those plate adapters for those diesel engines. I've had people want me to get broken this 2-piece spark plugs that Ford used. I've had quite a few calls for removing those, or getting broken exhaust studs out on heads. I do that. Not regularly, but people can bring it in. I've actually had a lot of people call me and ask me to build them roll cages for their off-road vehicles too, but I don't do that. I don't have a pipe bender anymore, so. The ones I get with the broken studs, typically when they come in here, someone has attempted to drill it out with a left-hand drill bit or something, and they missed the center of the bolt, and they're into the thread. So then those are the ones I get. And the other ones are just calls from random people that know I work on stuff. I work on so much random stuff. I get calls from lots of people to do random stuff. I have replaced the mantles on a lantern for an old lady before. I've put dryer belts on people's dryers, and you go from machining 1 minute or 1 hour to welding the next hour, and placing the cord on a vacuum cleaner the next. So, yeah, all the machining jobs I've got from the repair shops have been stuff like that. They've broken an extractor off in something, or they misdrilled it. Yeah, that's what I do. I drill bigger and helicoil it typically to fix that. I still use helicoils. I know everyone says time search are the thing to do, and helicoils aren't any good anymore, but I still helicoil stuff and have had zero issues with them. I'd probably get more or less random stuff if I charged more, but I have a bad habit with little stuff like that. But I like helping people, so. Especially with the small farmers I help out, especially beginning of the season, when their funds are kind of low and they need cylinder rebuild on backhoe, they need the pins drilled, for new pins made and rebushed and all that. First of all, I'm a big horse trader of stuff, for equipment and all kinds of stuff like that. I've gotten a lot of stuff trading labor for stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, and they're recurring customers I've had, so. Stuff is getting knocked over. I've put in a few time certs. I bought one pack of one size because the customer insisted that those were in there. Probably because they saw a video on YouTube where someone said, throw all your helicoils out. They're garbage. They're no good. They're expensive. Time certs are expensive. For nut certs, do you mean those ones that crimp up? You put the special tool. I have the tool, but I don't have any of the things. Looks like a bolt cutter. It smushes them together, and then there's a thread right there. So I looked at getting some stuff for that tool. Not familiar with PEM certs. Yeah, I can see where those inserted nut things would be. Excuse me, would be handy. I was looking at them just the other day. That'd be a cool machine. Some riveter. There's a punch press. I'm hoping to get here once the weather clears out. Punch press, a Logan turret lathe, blacksmith, post leg vise. One of those wood lathes that you have the headstock and the tailstock, and you make your own bed, and all that for at a big 2-wheel bandsaw, $500 from a old farmer about 3 hours away from here. But the weather has to be nice because we have to take it out of a barn in a dirt floor through a dirt field. And he made it out like we'll be loading it through quicksand if there's even the slightest bit of moisture there. So that'd be cool to get. I don't know what to do with the wood lathe thing. It's kind of cool. If we're turning, on that have the decorative pillars that hold up the porches and whatnot. It was set up to do 15-foot door or porch pillars and stuff like that. The headstock part on it's cool looking. It's pretty crude, but it's kind of cool looking. And the blacksmith vise, I'll just get rid of. I'll sell that. And the wood, do those Wilton bench wood clamps. The only thing I loathe more than degreasing machines and painting machines is woodwork, because I'm terrible at it, and everything I turn out looks like a second grader made it. So, but I am getting some woodworking machines in here, in an area over here for my mom to do her projects. So I've bought a few woodworking things. Oh, the blades for that little 3-wheel Craftsman bandsaw I got earlier this summer, I was going to do a video on. Those should be here very soon, so I can do the metal cutting tests on it. It's variable speed. You can get it down actually to a very, very slow blade speed for something like that. So, one of a million projects I've started. I don't know what it is about woodworking. I don't know. You should have seen the benches I built at the last shop. They were awful. Thought I measured everything right, and you tell as soon as they were up against the wall that they were not square, and they were not flat, and they were not level. So I ended up screwing the back of the workbench to the wall, and then taking all the legs off and adjusting them. And yeah. I put a real heavy coat of paint on it. Part of my thing is I was too lazy to drill pre-holes for some of the screws I was using, so I had a lot of tear outs and stuff like that. And I bought a router, and I think I tried to make a table once, like a nice looking table, and I was thinking it was, I think I wasn't mentally there for it. I was like, this is just going to come out nice, because I was thinking, oh, Norm Abram can do a nice table. I should be able to do a nice table. And it was not nice, and I gave up halfway through it. And I think it was the tabletop I used as a ramp for loading machines for a while. It was good for that. I wouldn't mind turning stuff on a wood lathe, though. I think that'd be interesting. I don't know if I could make, without some kind of duplicator thing, I don't think I could hand turn two things that look the same. They'd be close. Make like a baseball bat or something. I'm sure I can do that. Make a broom handle. I could probably make a broom handle too. Yeah, I know cabinetry is when I redid the kitchen at my old place. I used those pre-made cabinets, and they were, well, the kitchen wasn't square, so when stuff was off, I just forced it into place and put in extra screws. And I did one of those floating floors, with the fake wood that snaps together. And I didn't do a good job with the subfloor, and it was wavy. So I went afterwards and I screwed it to the floor and puttied over the screw heads. Stuff like that's just not for me. I like doing plumbing and electrical work, though. I love doing plumbing work. Oh, running lines and stuff like that. Of course, I worked for a commercial lawn care company for 7-8 years. It's like doing, in my main job, we cut people's services loose to do repairs and put them back together. I enjoy that kind of stuff. Yeah, probably 3 weeks from now, there'll be some more machines coming in. Those cylinder honing machines, I'll go get those. Probably another horizontal bandsaw. I don't know if I'm going to keep it or sell it. I might keep it. What else is there? One of those rigid pipe threaders. The riser. Okay, if any of you have a Bridgeport or any of those mills, kind of like mine, he has a 12-inch riser block for the column, $200. I've never needed the column. I don't mind moving the knee a lot, but it seems like it would be handy to have. So if any of you have any experience after putting if it made a big difference after putting a riser block on your mill column, please let me know. Yeah, they look nice. One of his mills already has a riser on it, and I was looking at that. And seems like my mill's a little too short. So I'm not hunkering down looking at it or anything, but it'd be nice if everything was up just a bit more. I don't think $200 for a riser is high. That gear, hopefully that gear will be here soon for finishing that guy. Yeah. The mill does seem like I'm always, everything's a little bit below. I'm not a super tall guy either. Right at a little under 5'11". It just seems a little low. Yeah, and my two milling vices, they're not like the Kurt ones. They're not the flat base. Mine, it took forever to tram it in, but it's one of those with the machine vise, and then you can rock it. The vise itself will pivot side to side limitedly and forward limitedly. Because when I do bigger stuff, I typically just clamp it to the table. So that vise is tall. So that's helped me. I want to do a video on that vise because I really like it. It seems very, very well made, but there's no marks on it whatsoever. Where it came from, who built it, there's a spot where there was a metal tag. I'd like to find out more about it. It's not a very big vise, probably 4 or 5 inch wide jaws. See you, Built Overbot. Thank you for joining us. Go get warm. So yeah, get those honing machines. He's selling me 3 of them. And I don't know. He doesn't know this one's up and running fully, ready to go. The other ones he just doesn't know because he already has another honing machine. So he asked if I wanted the other 2 for $100. I was like, might as well. Everything else for parts. But those probably a lathe. Let's see. I'd love to get that other Camelback drill press from that guy too. I do a lot of drilling. I'd like to get that Lodge and Shipley lathe. We need to go back to that guy's place. Excuse me. Yeah, tomorrow we'll put the in the carriage in and start putting it together. I've kind of figured out where a lot of stuff goes. The big thing is, and I'll grab them here real quick. Like all the bushings. Yeah, these are the stuff for the lead screws on the end. See, there's 3 different ones. So I'm sure he thought they were stacked like this on 2 of the shafts. The big reed only has the lead screw, the feed screw, and then the clutch brake lever. It doesn't have the 4 levers. So just figuring out little stuff like that. Use inserted drills. No, I don't have any inserted drills. I have used them, and I'm going to look at getting some. A question on inserted drills, you guys. I've just looked at them a little bit, mostly how good they do and stuff. I assume they sell them just as typical drill bit sizes, or is there some adjustability to them? I think I figured out where 80% of the stuff goes. The problem is the little things. That's going to be the frustrating stuff. All the big parts, it's pretty obvious. I use there's a couple little slides and little things with springs on them. Those are the head scratchers. I'm hoping it looks like this needs this. Put those back. Gotta look into those because I do a lot of drilling. I do a lot of drilling on the Camelback drill press. I've actually done some boring on the drill press too. Small, inch and I think it was their inch and a half. With a knuckle off a small backhoe, like a Kubota. Yeah, definitely look into them more. I've also just started looking at a few of those insert type end mills. I've never used any of those. I just use normal end mills. I just don't know if you get a 2-inch roughing end mill, and you get a 2-inch insert roughing end mill. The cost, with all the inserts and everything over the life of both, I would like to see a comparison on that. Again, I don't do a lot of specialty metals and stuff. Most of my stuff is just your basic stuff. That'd be a cool job as well, to drill something like that. Yeah, I've watched a few videos on the insert ones. I try to find the ones where they're not obviously trying to shill for them, Because I use about 6 different inserts in my shop right now. As you know, my machines are older, except for the High Pro Max, so they turn slower. So on slower work, when the stuff's turning slower, high speed still, I get better results with it. Now I know they make inserts for slower speeds and all that, but what'd you drill it on, or as well? What kind of machine? Probably a boring mill if it's that long of a stroke. My buddy uses a lot of sand. I know there's a lot of his tool holders for Sandvik. I don't know if his inserts were Sandvik. That and Carbaloy. I have a lot of Carbaloy inserts from a auction a while ago. They were fine. You don't see a lot of people, YouTubers, using Carbaloy stuff. I don't know if it's just old or. I think all the. Oh, okay, they changed names. I think all the inserts for my boring bars are. I think they're Kennametal. All except two of my boring bars are insert boring bars with through cooling. Never used the through cooling, but it's punched through there. But I use a lot of high speed steel. I keep 3 of my quick change tool holders with high speed steel, older tooling. I use a lot of high speed steel. Because again, my lathes turn slow. And I do a lot of interrupted cuts on pumps and stuff too. I seem to get more life out of the tools when I do use high speed steel for stuff like that. And turning the shafts with keyways in them. Plus, for me, it's cost effective. I can sharpen it a whole bunch of times. And I do have inserts. I do most of my turning on bigger stuff with inserts. Again, like the LeBlond, it topped out at 600 RPM. So when you're turning a 1.5-inch round at that speed, you get better finishes with high speed steel. Now with the Hypermac, I'll be able to utilize it. Goes fast. I'll be much better able to utilize the carbide stuff I have. But when I do all my boring, I always use inserts. And then where I run kind of lean on stuff anyway, I try not to have I don't need to have a bunch of stuff on stock. So if I do have a certain cutter, I'd like to, if I can use the same 6 inserts I use on everything, that'd be cool. But it'll be through a job with something I only have those inserts for, and I do an oopsie and crash something. I can resharpen high speed steel, but I'll go through a thing on the inserts I use for people that don't know much about inserts. I use pretty basic ones. I am looking into, I've always threaded with just high speed steel. And I even have used those Armstrong ones that have the cutter and you grind them as they wear. I've been really looking at the threading inserts and the parting inserts. But all those tool holders, they're always out of stock, it seems. Well, thanks for joining us, Hey Weeder. Yeah, I stock enough to be able to do the jobs I need to. But as you know, a lot of money can sit in a drawer somewhere and never be touched. So I run uh, the stuff I have bulk of is stuff I got at auctions and stuff like that. But for the cost model my shop is at, I don't like to have a bunch of money sitting in something like that when I buy a pack at a time. Those 8 packs or 6 packs or whatever stuff they come in. You're leaving the phone on so the cats can hear you. Hi, cats. I have cats too. They were in a video recently, my cats. They're my kids' cats, but yeah. I stock a lot of this stuff, the cabinet stuff. That stuff can get you out of a pinch, but that's mostly for repairs and stuff. If I had to guess, I probably have maybe 100 inserts here. I got a couple of drawers of high-speed steel. The guy at the scrapyard actually keeps a coffee can of it, and he sells it for when his guys pick it out when they're hydrating stuff out in the piles. Because machine shops dump a bunch of it there. I don't go through a lot of inserts either. I break a lot of them doing stupid things. So I make my mistakes on my machines just like everyone else does. Not as much anymore as I used to. I seem to wear down the ones on my boring bar. I do a lot of boring, so I go through a lot of those inserts. And those are the the sharper angled triangle inserts, or not triangle, diamond looking one. Some kind of oid, like a trapezoid or something like that. Then I have some of those round ones for doing radiuses. When I do motor buildup and welding, I use those for putting a radius back in the shaft. But I've been looking at those threading ones because I think I would benefit greatly because I do a lot of threading. So, those thread inserts. I'm really looking at that. And when I do Acme threads, I do it the way that they taught back in the 20s and 30s. Like, let's say I'm doing a 4 or 5 pitch Acme thread. I use a undersized tool to rough it out. And then I come back with the full size tool. That's the way I was taught, and that's the way I've always done it, and it always turns out good. I assume they make inserts for Acme threads. Normal threads, of course, I just use a standard, standardly ground tool. Yeah, all my Acme threads I've always done, and there's a lot of Acme threads at farm machines, so I cut a lot of Acme threads. I've always done it the undersized tool, then the finishing tool. And then That was the way they're trying to get. I'm self-taught. All the machining I've ever done, I've done myself. And then I read about doing that, and then I like to watch those old instructional videos from the 40s and 50s on machining and stuff like that, and I saw that they did it the same way. So. Yeah. That message real quick. Sorry, that's my mom. It's texting my mom. So yeah, we'll get that carriage done this week. And then hopefully I'll give the shipping address for that converter. I'm going to rip all my old wiring setup out and do new wiring for the converter. Don't know if the transformer is going to... I got to decide if I'm going to put the converter and the transformer out in the shop. And I don't know if I'm going to run everything through the transformer or not. I don't know. I haven't decided that yet. But if I don't do that, I'm going to make sure I change all my different outlets to clearly denote which ones are 240 volt and which ones are 480. So I don't know if I want to do that. I have a lot of thinking and planning to do on the electrical side. The forehead drill press is the only machine I have that's dedicated 480 volt. The weird motors it has on it, that's the only thing they're ready to do. They'll run on 220, but they're small motors, so they don't need they're only 1 horse motors each. So you don't need any more lack of power. So we'll see. But help with the amps on the big grinder. That's probably the biggest motor. Well, no, the Reed has a 7.5 horse in it. Yeah. But mostly just day-to-day stuff, it's just going to be the lathe. So, it's going to be 5 horse motors. So, not a lot of amp draw. Of course, you can save on wire size running stuff 460. But I have tons of wire from auctions. So that's not a big concern. Unless I put the phase converter and stuff out in the shed, then for my panel, I have to run big wire. I don't have any. I have some extra 1/0, if that'd be big enough. I'll, of course, check everything. A lot of my smaller stuff is between 1 and 3 horse. So, but the grinder has some crazy, with those 24-inch wheels, it has some crazy inrush amps until it gets spinning. So starting in at 460 would help there. Actually, just getting it spinning just 1-2 times with your hands helps with that quite a bit. So yeah, hopefully the snow goes away quick so I can get some machines picked up, get some other work going. We got 6 machines that are within a couple months of me getting them in the shop. Then I'm going to do a small engine rebuild on my channel here, probably in 4 or 5 weeks. Kawasaki, if the guy wants me to end up rebuilding it. So I'll show that. That'll be good use for that cylinder machine. It's an interesting machine. I've never used one before. I can see where it'd be used handy. But it's the same guy I got the big reed and the surface grinder from and the milling head. He has a nice setup in his shop and he's getting rid of stuff now. So he said he will give me first shot at everything out of his shop. So that'd be cool. He has a pretty nice setup. He has a Cadillac lathe, which looks like a nice lathe. And what was it? A smaller jet. And he has two nice vertical mills. He does a lot of custom work on motorcycles. So then I might get one of those is it 0602 or 4 mils. I might think about getting one doing the small CNC conversion. I don't know. I got a buddy that has one and uses it all the time. So I don't know. I'll look at that. So I'll get this big lathe going. Because once the weather clears, we're supposed to be back in the 50s. The farmers probably start pulling stuff out in March. We had to turn on water for frost control mid-March. So yeah, probably here in 3-4 weeks. The calls will be coming in. But we'll have a lathe up and running by then. No worries. I'm also going to have to replace my wire feed here pretty quick. That one I've been using for all my jobs. It's starting at the beginning of this year. It only works on the very highest of the power settings now. I don't know if and it's not digital or anything. It's all just knobs. And it works on the highest settings, so it still works for what I do. But it's time to buy a more updated machine. So they show up at auctions all the time, and everyone tells me if there's a modern welder at an auction, then it needs a board. They say the boards are always bad. So they say add $1,000 to the price of any welder you buy. I might order one of those ATP, those yellow ones for TIG welding. I do a lot of stick welding, so. Yeah, that Miller DC 250 or Ideal Arc 250. I've loved that thing. That's a solid, reliable chunk of a stick welder. Not that I didn't like my Tombstone. I loved that Lincoln Tombstone. I hated to part with it. I welded a lot of things with that welder. People give them a bad rap. Now, it was one of the older copper cored ones. It wasn't the newer ones. I believe have aluminum cores. So I don't know if there's a big difference between that. Mine was modified. I put a bathroom fan in the back of it to cool it while I was running. And it didn't work on the lowest settings either. It had suffered a internal electrical fire that burned away some of the wires going to the first 2 clicks on the knob. So you couldn't weld under 90 amps with it. I bought it, I knew that, and I got it for $10. Long ago. So I learned to weld with was that tombstone. And to help with the duty cycle, I put that fan on there. I re-eared 36 and 48-inch wide buckets for cats with it. It took some time, and you had to let it rest, but it was more than capable of doing it. I also hard surfaced the sides of some buckets with it. Did some tooth repair. I did some heavy welding with it for that little tombstone buzz box. So don't let people badmouth stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it had its limits, but I'm not big on. It's big on the practical machinist site and stuff. I don't like to dog or say negative things about people's equipment. I mean, if someone, and people know I have lathes, so they ask me all the time, how's the one from Harbor Freight? I don't go, oh, don't buy that. I go, well, what are you going to do with it? It's probably good at this, this, and this. I don't try to take the attitude of the stuff you have is garbage. Why would you waste your time with that stuff? Because, yeah, you need certain level of tool to do a certain level of job, but you can get away with some stuff. It takes longer. It takes longer to do stuff. If your stick welder only has a 20% duty cycle, it's going to take longer to do something than a machine with an 80 or 100% duty cycle. But you can get the job done. So I really do not like talking negative about people's machines, or I would never go out of my way to, do something like that. Or at least I'm on negative. I've been watching YouTube for probably over 10 years. I've watched thousands and thousands and thousands of videos. I have never left a thumbs down for anyone. If you don't like the video, just don't watch it again. Stop watching it. I don't need to go out of my way to say, not only did I not like your video, but I want others to see that I didn't like it, so I'll thumbs down it. So. Yeah, and I like the practical machinist side, but it's bad. So it's bad for that. And I know it's geared more towards, it's not like Home Shop Machinist. I don't read too much more of their stuff, but Home Shop Machinist is more meant for that, and Practical Machinist is more for shops and stuff like that. So I get it. Yeah, you can make do with a lot on certain things. So. Also, this is a thing for you people who are getting in new to the field of machining or welding or anything. Do not criticize other people's work, when there's other people around. I know, and the welders I know are bad about it. Everything they weld is gold. Every other weld looks bad. Don't say negative things about other people's work. I mean, unless it's like dangerous stuff, then you may speak up. But Related to that, the son of one of my buddies went to welding school at the local gas place and welding supply place. So he'd only done, welding in a shop environment. He went out into the field. I don't know if he was doing pipeline, but you go from the shop environment, and it gave him a big head when he got out of there, to laying in the mud, and working on rusty pipe that wasn't all perfect and all that, and thin in spots and all that, and he really quit the dog on stuff and went through a lot of different employers his first couple years before he learned a few things. So I don't know many of the machinists in the areas. I got my buddy who has a shop. The other machine shops I don't deal much with. Like I said, four or five of them, they just do production runs. So, and I don't know if it's weird that I want to go in everyone's shop and see their stuff, see their machines, all that. Even though I don't like, to me, all CNC mills and lathes look the same. They're all a big box with a bunch of windows around it. But I do, one of the shops refers people to me for small jobs. And I do a lot of one-off stuff for people. A lot of motor shafts. And one of the other shops, I see him, the owner, he's at the auctions all the time. He used to buy all the lathes and mills that showed up at the auctions, and then he would have them hauled directly to the scrapyard. Sometimes an out-of-town scrapyard. He was very anti-competition, which, businesses have to do with what they do. But there was about a 5 or 6 year span here where you could not buy a used lathe on Craigslist or an auction, because he bought every one that showed up and either took it to a shop or almost immediately had scrapped. That's an interesting business model. But he also did work for a massive crane company that's in the area, so money was not a thing for him. And then, like when I had my lawn care business or lawnmower repair business, the lawnmower parts places here send me odd machining jobs. Not much, flattening mower heads, which I tell them, the head on a lawnmower, you can get a piece of glass with some sandpaper and do what you need to do with that. You don't need to have them, put on a mill or anything like that, but I do it for them. Mostly with the lawnmower shops, it's getting studs out of heads. And I think it's funny that they send me motor rebuild jobs too, because they have a warranty for a few of the manufacturers. So I've done some motor rebuilds for them. Maybe that shows you I don't charge enough, that another business is having me do it, and they're charging wonder what they're charging the customer for that. But you can fully rebuild a motor if you can just hone the cylinder, get most of the scratches out with those ball hones that have the 100 little balls on them. If you can just hone the cylinders and stuff, you can build a motor in 6 hours, 7 hours. I've done a lot of them. And the nicer motors, the Kawasaki's and stuff, are actually cost effective to rebuild them unless you put something through the block. So then you get this lathe up and going. So that'll be soon. Hopefully get all the carriage. Hopefully get all back together this week. That's this week's plan. I have another check valve I need to turn. I need to get that done before mid-March, and it won't fit on the other reed. So that'll probably be this machine's first job, truing up another check valve. It's a 16-inch check valve, I think. Then I got the rotor out of a 200 horse pump. I need to do some work on I was going to do a weld buildup on it, but they're going to change the upper bearing. The motor, it's a horizontal electric motor. They're going to change the bearing, so I just need to turn the shaft down. So, and it's a heavy rotor. But thankfully, the big lathe has a tailstock, so I can do it on the big lathe. Oh, and I'll have that faceplate to you soon. I got your information. Just with the snow and stuff I had this weekend, I was trapped with other things. Actually, let me go get it and show it to you. Where I thought was. So this is the faceplate. It's a nice shape. It's a little dirty. It's got the T slots in it. And there's the back of it. That's a good size faceplate. Again, something I probably shouldn't be lifting and twisting around, but there we go. Just my coat here. Yeah, and then the lathe done this week, hopefully. Waiting for some oil for the headstocks. I'm going to change in all the oil in all my machines this week too. Kind of make that an annual thing. That's what I'll do on Valentine's Day every year. Just change all the oil in my machines to show them how much I love them. And I got some more pickup to do. I got to do some more painting on some parts. I might paint those when they're on the lathe. So yeah, that stuff done. I need to replace the pressure switch on my big air compressor, but I probably won't show that. That's one project this week. Yeah, I used turbine oil in the headstocks on my machines. Never had a wear problem. It's good quality turbine oil too. Like the way the headstock, the big reed right here doesn't have a pump, an oil pump. It just slings it everywhere. And then it shaves or shears the grease off the main, not the bowl gear, but the gear right next to it. It shears it off and drips it into the spindle bearing. So that'll be fine for that too. There's enough sticktivity to the oil to let it ride up the gear. And all my machines are older and they all call for lighter weight oil. I'm actually not sure of the viscosity of what the oil I use is. I just always use the same stuff. And my buddy who has a machine shop uses the same stuff. So when he orders it by the pallet, and I just go get a couple 5-gallon barrels from him. So the Reed and the Hypermac have pumps. So the bigger Reed, for being newer than the older Reed, is cruder in some ways in the headstock. It doesn't have the pump. The whole machine, I don't know back then if they offered these lathes with different features. It has, like the other, I don't know if it's just because the other one was purchased by the Navy and this one wasn't. They got all the bells and whistles with it. But that other Reed is very full featured. It has an independent brake and clutch. Of course, that's due to the design of the machine. It's got the oil pump. There's an oil pump. Same with this one in the apron. As you turn the carriage wheel left to right, that works the pump. And then there's a manual pump. But this seems the newer Reed is a little more basic. So I don't know. I've never purchased a new lathe, and these old ones, I don't know if there was like option packages, I guess is what I'm saying. Except for I do know you could get the 22-inch, with the few paperwork I got with it. You could get it with a 5/4 or the 7.5, and it has a 7.5 50-cycle motor in it right now. Then the other Reed has a 5/4, and it's weird. The Hypermac has a 7.5. Has the same. It's a 15 by 50 lathe. It has the same size motor as in the 22-inch Reed. I don't know if it's because it goes faster, so I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, since the Monarch lathes have a lot of extra little doodads, like the incremental feeds on the carriage and stuff like that. I've never owned a Monarch or ran one. I've never owned a South Bend. Around here, you pay a lot of extra money for that name on it. Of course, around here, any lathe is expensive. There's actually on Craigslist, there's a Powermatic, a Logan Powermatic, 13 by 36. And it's the pretty much exact same lathe I first started doing machine work on. And just for that fact, I was like, oh, that'd be cool to have. I got rid of that machine. I never should have. You could fit it anywhere. It was handy. I had a call at Chuck for it and all that. But I know where that lathe is. I know who has it. So I'm going to get it back one day. Just for lathe and then nostalgic reasons. Actually, kind of one smaller lathe would be kind of handy and keep it over by the workbench. The Hypermac's kind of smaller. Maybe, yeah. Nice to have one smaller lathe. Oh, okay. Then I know there's an axle sim a buddy has mine. It has a big swing, but it's a short lathe for how big the swing is. It's a 20-inch swing, and that lathe is only like, somehow the lathe is only like 8 foot long. But it is robust. It is, everything on it is thick and heavy. Yeah, welcome back. Yeah, that'll be this week's projects. Mostly stuff in the shop, doing the big rearranging. Move the base to the forehead drill press, get it out of the way. Clean it off first. It's probably gathered its weight in stuff that is on it. Mm-hmm. It's 16 by 120. Yeah, it's a good size lathe. The 22 by 120 is as big as I'll probably need. Yeah, it's a little longer than I need, but for the price, I couldn't beat it. So, but yeah, I got some commercial mower jobs I have to do this week. Well, I have to do this weekend, so I need to get the big lathe, all the parts on it, and get it moved. Then to shimmy it into its final position is going to be to do. I'm going to have to take it off the cart. It's little bogey wheel things that my uncle made, because I have to be able to swing it, and it won't swing on those, I don't think. So I have to move all the cutting tools. I keep all my end mills and inserts and drill bits and taps and dies in a cabinet. So knowing that cabinet weighs about 500 pounds. Clear everything off the wall, move the big grinder, move the small bandsaw and the drill presses, and then have enough room to swing. This has to go through the shop and then rotate at the end of it. So. I'm not looking forward to that. But that'll be... Everything else is kind of already moved. I did a bunch of moving of stuff the other day. And it's going to block one of my back doors, but it's not a big deal. There's another one out there. That's where it will live. It's against the back wall. And if I have to turn anything longer, I can punch a hole in the sheet metal inside the building and run it out there, because then I have another 10 foot between the back of my shop and the next property. So... Wearing the LED bulbs, lights just flashes on off quickly all the time. It could be too cold. That'd be my guess. I know the lights in my shop flicker when it's cold. But actually, that put in yourself heater or air conditioner thing I have, that one room thing or whatever, that's done a fine job for the shop. Yeah, that's what we... If you like videos on the reapprentice lathe, then this will be a good week to watch the videos. So there'll be some other stuff thrown in there, but do another one on the Delta drill press. Still waiting for bearings. There's going to be a whole video just on bearings for that, because I get so many questions about the headstock bearings. So I'm going to show people 2 ways to do it, and then I'm going to make a bunch of them and give them away or something like that. Sell them, I guess. But so yeah, I need to get that. I don't know what's been with shipping stuff lately. I've just been waiting forever for everything. Or I need to not be cheap and pay the extra $5 to have stuff shipped in a more expedited manner. I wouldn't mind a second operation lathe. Because a lot of my stuff isn't between tailstock. So yeah, we'll wrap this here up in a little bit so I can eat and do a little more work in the shop tonight. I don't have to work tomorrow, so I can do a lot of the work tomorrow. I want to get the lathe put. Next week goal is to get the lathe put together for the most part, hopefully all of it. And the big thing I need to find out is if I need to have the feed screw and lead screw and stuff on. If I have to put the carriage on first and then slide them through, or have them supported and then put the carriage on. I know that one part slips through the feed screw with the keyway. So I need to do that to get those out of the way. Because where it's sitting in the shop now, I can slide the shafts all the way through. It won't be a problem. But once it's in the back, I won't have the room to do that. So I got to get the carriage on and that stuff on. Then we'll get it moved. There'll be a couple videos on commercial lawnmower repairs probably next weekend. I got another plastic welding job to do. And people like that video, and I like doing it for some reason. It's interesting to me. So there'll be a plastic video repair video this week. Yeah, should be this week. And I do a lot of plastic weld repairs on gas tanks. My shop is heated by one of those one-room heater and air conditioner units. Those white rectangle things with the thing that goes up and down. It's got the heat pump outside. Yeah, that's what I was figuring I'd have to do that before I moved it. Because right now there's nothing past it really. So, and that little one-room thing does. I have it set at 66 now because I had the door open earlier, and it does a good job. And it does a better job heating the shop than it does cooling the shop. In the summer, I have a box fan I keep running in here, usually 2. Because again, it's not uncommon for it to get up to 100 and stuff here. So that little one-room you can self-install them too. It has surprised me, and it's been fairly cost-effective to run it too. My old shop had a pellet stove, and it took forever to heat up the shop. And then the second you opened the bay door, all the heat left, and it took it like 2 days to recover. Then this place actually had a wood-burning stove when it was in here, but it wasn't hooked up when I first moved in. And then they had that thing there. My old shop had a swamp cooler for a little bit, but moist air, bare machine services, not a good match. Not a good match at all. Going through a lot of WD-40 spraying stuff. Yeah, I do quite a bit of plastic welding. fuel tanks and mowers, lawnmower steering wheels, it seems. And people like those videos, and so do some more of them. They got one more video on the DP drill press about painting and prepping, and then the only thing left on it really is the bearings. I want to have everything here. It'll be a longer video, and hold on, I need to change a power cord right here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it'll be a longer video because I get a lot of questions about it, and I want to be able to have an all-in-one video of what you can do and ways to get around that pretty specialty bearing that's in the headstock. Because of course, if you have a lathe and you can have machining skills, it's not a problem to us. But if you don't have a lathe, you know, it's expensive. They're expensive to buy. There's really not much to them. And I'll grab the bearing to show you. This is the one everyone, you know, this goes on the headstock. It's the one everyone has. Because this inner part, again, is the inner part of the bearing. It's not a sleeve. A lot of people ruin these, putting them in a press, trying to push this out. So I came up with a way to make it work without this, and it'll be fine. And then I'm going to, this wall thickness is really thick. It'll be a little thinner. That's a very common bearing size if I shrink this. 80 thou. So yeah, so I'm going to show that way. And then I'm going to make a bunch of them and give them away. Try to find a way to sell them for exactly what the material cost was. I don't know. It's a project. Maybe make them and sell them on eBay and get hugely rich from it. I don't know. No. So I'm also going to be, you saw this in the last live stream, a tool for making the sight glasses and the cork gaskets. So I'll be cranking out a whole bunch of sight glasses for Reed Prentices. And I don't know, something like that. I don't know how interchangeable they are with Monarchs and other stuff. The Reed Prentice uses a 3-hole bolt pattern on theirs. So I'll crank out a bunch of sight glasses. Because the only limiting factor on this is the length of the socket head cap screws. So I can make like, you know, a whole bunch at a time. It takes nothing to cut it. It's just cork and plexiglass. So either have those for sale or sell them for $1 or give them away if people need them and whatnot. So a Walker Turner drill press. My small floor model drill press is a Walker Turner. I like it. Yeah, we'll stay down here for a few more minutes, and I need to eat. Again, I meant to eat before I started this, but are those just the pop-in sight glasses? That's what the Hypermac has. The ones you just push in there. I don't know what type I had. I don't remember. It's not here anymore, so I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, mine's a 15-inch too, with the slow speed adapter. So yeah, we lathe videos, plastic welding video, mower videos at the end of the week. Hopefully the snow goes away. Yeah, I'll email you when I get that shipped. I'll make another cart for the big grinder and the big equipment move, which will probably be next weekend, to move the big lathe back where it needs to live. Because I want to get my machines were going to be set before I wire in the phase converter and run all that stuff. Because right now, everything, I have 2 3-phase plugs and everything runs to those plugs. So I have cords everywhere. So I might do overhead drops. I have to sit there. I changed my mind a million times on it. So that'll be what's coming up this week. Again, subscribers been going up. Super cool, super cool. Appreciate all you guys. I gain 1 or 2 a day, which is awesome. Super awesome. So thanks all you guys for watching, commenting, and liking all that. I super appreciate it. You should see if any of the Grizzly variable speed drills look anything like your Clausing. If they do, they're probably the same internally. You can get replacement parts from them. I've done that with a few machines. Is ordered Grizzly, whoever makes their parts, direct copies, like identical copies for a lot of old, especially like older Delta machines. And the parts are, every part I've ordered has been interchangeable. Most of that was, there's 2 band saws I was working on. And yeah. And that die filing machine I had a long time ago. So, okay, guys, I think we're going to call it a wrap for the night. Again, cannot thank you guys enough for watching and liking and subscribing and hopefully telling your friends about it and all that stuff. I super appreciate it. I think it's super cool. I like seeing those subscribers go up. 1 a day, 2 a day is awesome to me. So, very cool. One day I'll be up there with the popular kids. But so yeah, thanks for joining us at on the live stream. It will be back every Sunday unless something comes up. Hope you guys have a good week. And yeah, this is Adam from Small Town Machine Shop. I'll talk to you guys later.